So we join here now, this moment, just as it is. That the time is now. It's actually a really potent message, right? We hear that. The time is now. But it can really stir the heart to recognize the truth of what is being communicated at a resonant level in this message. The time is now. Because it is a wide open revelatory door to the eternal. And as we open to the eternal nature and the truth of who we are, out of time and space, as timeless being, we also open to the field of infinite possibility. And as we open to the field of infinite possibility, we open to the glory of life without conditions and in its fullness. And we open to, I can almost hear trumpet fanfares playing. We open to just everything that we are longing for, right? We open to the full blossoming of what is possible in a human life. And there's nothing more exciting and enlivening for our human hearts than to connect to the one heart field, the one field of perfect spotless love, and remember the glorious truth of what we're here for, so that we have a resonant frequency pathway that's calling us from our deep inner knowing and our presence in the now, that reminds us, oh, we're here for revelation. We're here to truly blossom, flower, and fruit, right? And to enjoy the sweetness of fruiting in our human lives, right? And there's nothing more joyful for our human hearts than to actually relax into the recognition, oh, we're here for this revelation. We're here for something so glorious and celebratory and beautiful. And we're not here to take an ownership of this that keeps us divided, or this is my kind of secret revelation. We're here to celebrate and join in this together and to be a reverberant field that is sharing this as frequency revelation with the whole of humanity and beyond, right? So it's so exciting to just be here now, because in the frequency of now, the revelation of the glory is right here. Just to feel the truth of that in your heart, just to feel what happens in your heart, what comes alive, what is noticed. What does it feel like in your direct experience to feel that reverberant recognition uniquely? Because what is absolutely fundamental in this unfolding is that we truly autonomously enter our connection to source, that we join through our own heart and our own awake awareness to the field that is one. We have to open to taste the sweetness of our own fruiting through our own connection to source. That in a way we can't be handed sweet mangoes over the fence, right? We have to open to that sweetness and revelation in our own direct knowing of the truth of who we are, the true essence nature of what we are. It's like we are such incredible instruments and vehicles because we are intelligence. We're made of intelligence. We're made of light frequency, consciousness, intelligence that has the capacity to know itself and revel in the knowing of itself, and to open to itself and this adventure of life at such a deep, profound level, so as to recognize the multidimensional nature of the lived experience, and to have the capacity in our consciousness to integrate the dimensions of the lived human experience, so that our lived human experience is a joyful adventure that isn't about excluding anything, but is about living the fullness of our multidimensionality. And in that, we could say simply living as love, coming alive as love, right on the surface of life, right in the center of our glorious lived experience. That we have this capacity to open into our own deep revelatory knowing and recognition of the true essence nature and our oneness with God and glory, with the divine, and to be an instrument transmission of that revelation, and to come alive as love, to be an emanation of love on the surface of life. And in a way, this too is what our hearts are longing for, to love and be loved, to celebrate love, to live in kindness and compassion and patience and generosity and care with each other, right? To just join, to hold each other in presence and care and recognition, to support each other, to really live in a field that feels like a communion in God, right? Like Sangha, like a community rooted in God, in love, like that we're communing in God, we're gathering in God in love, and that our hearts are longing for that, to care and share and be, play and dance and sing and love and just be in the wildness of this crazy adventure of a human life together, right? Not competitive, not comparison, not isolating and dividing, not making anything about ourselves wrong or others wrong. And that we come to realize that we've been so conditioned to protect ourselves because we can be holding a very deep core belief, a deep conditioning that there's something wrong with me, like a disconnection from the goodness of God. And that then brings forward a belief that it's possible to be divided from God, that it's possible to be divided from love, which of course it's not possible. So in a way, the revelation is about the impossibility of division, the impossibility to be apart from love, and the revelation and recognition that love is so fully alive and blazing in the absolute essence of what we are and what all of life is, right? So just take a breath. Just be with what is coming forward as the words come. Just feel into what is happening in your heart, in your field, in your direct experience of just being here. It's like a great invitation to be here now. The time is now. So let's be here now and open to what is possible here now. There's nothing more joyous than to feel the overflowing cup of natural causeless joy coming online in the heart. where joy begets joy, right? That the wellspring is overflowing from source, and that we're being resourced from source. And it starts to bring an effervescent aliveness in the heart field of our own direct knowing of the beauty and grace and glory of what we are and what this life is. And so in a way we could say this is a transmission of upliftment and reassurance, when things in the life and on the screen of life can feel turbulent and chaotic, confusing, and there can be a lot of fear that can come in. When we start with celebration, when we start with upliftment and reassurance and like gathering ourselves in the heart of love, gathering ourselves in this moment, here, now, it's like we remember what is possible and we open to the illumined presence of the heart, the one heart that is present in our hearts. We could say the heart of light, the Christ light, the Christ consciousness, the self, right? The presence of being, the heart of being that is just awake in our own hearts. And that what we are invited into is to keep awake that presence in our own heart, to keep that presence alive in the heart, to keep that presence alive as a direct knowing of the presence field, of the simple felt sense of existence as a wide open field that is awake and aware of itself. That through our own sense of presence, that we open to the unbounded field of presence. As we open to the unbounded field of presence, we open to the true nature as presence. As we open to the sense of unboundedness, we recognize that the field, the infinite field, is an unbounded, uncontained, unlimited field. And in the field of presence and the felt sense of our own presence, we open to a sense of being unbounded, being larger than our mind body. That as we enter our own self through presence, the self recognizes itself as being beyond the mind body as myself, and the field that is unbounded being as being myself. That what I am is an unbounded field. That what I am is not limited to the mind body, and that it's about opening to the fullness of what we are, that brings a sense of unbounded, timeless, infinite, eternal presence that shifts our perspective of seeing ourself to the self seeing itself as an infinite, eternal being, and not seeing myself as a separate, divided person, but that I open to myself multidimensionally as an unbounded being, a field of presence that is awake and aware of itself as a field of grace, of transmission. And there's a simple sense of a freedom that comes as we open here. So again, just noticing what is being noticed. There's nothing to think about or understand, nothing to do, just to be open, receptive as the field of presence here now. And just open to be so present with what is here. There's nothing that needs to happen, nothing to do. Just to open to be present with yourself in a way that is revealing of yourself, has this potent possibility of revealing yourself to yourself in a deeper, more subtle way than you've ever met yourself before. It's like if we're just constantly open to revelation, we're constantly open to the possibility of knowing ourselves, what we are, in a deeper, more subtle way. Because there are so many glorious phases of this unfolding, so many glorious ways to keep recognizing and seeing ourselves. And it's as if as we open to being the aware, awake field, the aware, awake being, we start to, as the awareness, be the seer that is seeing itself, knowing itself in its true essence nature. So we come to know ourselves in our true nature. And we recognize that this seer is like an illumined presence of light. It's like we're being lit from the source. And that light is a powerful light that has the power to illuminate everything that is present in the play of life. And the power of the technology of such a light, of source light, of divine light, self-light, is that it has the power to illuminate and reveal the true nature of everything. It has the power to reveal love in everything, God and glory in everything. It's a light, the true seer light, the awake awareness, has the power to see itself in everything, right? So again, there's nothing to understand here, and there'll be a following with the mind, what the words are speaking of. There'll be a kind of tracking and a certain ability to understand. And there's also the layer of consciousness, the intelligence that is tracking and recognizing itself. So it's not about understanding in the way that the mind is used to. It's about just opening to allow a kind of recalibration of the field of consciousness, of the nervous system, where the intelligence is coming online in such a way that the seer sees itself in the presence here now. The presence is so present to itself that it just starts to know itself in a wider frame. And of course, that frame is an unbounded one. It's a timeless one. And the magic of the flow of grace is that as we gather with the heart just present here now, grace itself starts to weave its magic. And in a way, it's about just being here in a very natural surrender, a very natural and simple pure devotion. And that surrender is, it's like jumping into a current, into the river. It's jumping into this moment that says, I'm yours. I'm yours, great glory. You just carry me to the ocean, right? It's a surrender that just says to God and glory, I don't know. I'm willing to not know, to let go of control, to let go of all my ideas and concepts and learned knowledge, bookish knowledge. I'm ready to just let go and just be in the not knowing and be carried. And the pure devotion is the flow of devotion that is connected with the longing of the heart, because it's for the sake of love itself that we are in devotion. Like not devoted to something or someone, but love in our hearts that is just devoted to love itself, that just says, take me home. Let me know love. Let me know the fullness of love. Let me love love so deeply, completely, and profoundly. Let me know love so fully. Let me know love so fully that I just say yes to love. That there's nothing that I want. I don't have a list of this is what I want and this is how I want it to be. That for the sake of love itself, pure devotion again, it's akin to the longing of the heart, or the almighty yes of the heart, that says yes to truth, to God, to glory, to Guru grace. It just says yes to love in all of its expressions. Yes to the Mother calling us into a divine and wholesome embrace. That we just say yes, because this flow of surrender and this flow of pure devotion, it is the current. It is the current of the shakti. It's the current of the bhakti and the current of the shakti. It's like one current that as we just fall into it, we're carried. As we sometimes say, it's like entering into the divine taxi. Just take me home, right? We enter the flow, the current, and we just know that the intelligence knows where home is. Intelligence knows exactly where to take us, right? And that this flow of pure surrender is the flow of life surrendering into itself, surrendering into itself, and surrendering into itself, surrendering into itself, and surrendering into itself. And that is the now, right? The timeless now. That life is surrendering into itself and surrendering into itself. And as it surrenders into itself, if we say yes to Surrender into the self. Surrender into yourself. Surrender into the flow of life, into the current, into the shakti flow. We just let go into the flow of life surrendering into itself, which is the flow of integral wholeness, keeping itself whole through constant, humble surrender into itself, again and again and again. And then at the same time, we could say that it's like this flow of pure devotion, a pure bhakti flow. So it's like God enamored with God, just fixed gaze upon itself, because there's nothing else to be fixed upon, right? There's only one. And so that fixation is an absolute, integral, whole, fixed gaze that never wavers. It never peeps around. It just stays absolutely boom, right? Because there's nothing else to look at, nothing else. And so that flow of bhakti is that flow of pure devotion that just says yes. Yes to love, yes to God and glory, yes, 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 yes. And even though the play of life is offering all of these possibilities, that the gaze remains fixed. The gaze remains fixed with the heart's almighty yes, right? And again, that pure devotion is what keeps integral wholeness whole, right? The purna, that which has never ever divided. It appears to divide into diversity, but the actual essence never ever divides. And when we enter that flow, that current, the divine taxi of the flow of the bhakti shakti that just knows its way, that is the intelligence of divine wholeness, we just enter into a surrender and a devotion that says, I don't need to know. I just keep saying yes in my heart to what my heart is truly longing for. And in that, I make my identity in God. I put my identity in the one heart, in the one self. And I'm not in an idea that there's a journey, that I need to fix this or change that or be ready for this. Or maybe if I keep working on this, then I'll be acceptable. Because the thing about God and there only being one is that there's nothing to fix or change. The love and the glory is already here and is already whole. And in a way, the revelation of a human life is really about claiming that wholeness as the truth of who you are, instead of claiming a story of division and limitation as who you are. So in a way, we get to choose, what will you claim as your identity? The story of a broken, fractured, wounded being that is divided from God, unworthy, and is deeply in a belief there's something wrong with me and there's something wrong with this life? Or will we claim our identity in God and glory by recognizing that God has put in our heart a sense of presence and knowing and longing that carries us deep into this revelation? And here, for the ones that it may resonate with, it's like, this is where, in a way, Yeshua is a blueprint and a symbol of this revelation, right? Of the already done revelation, that the identity in God as a child of God is already a done deal. It's not a you've got to work for this, you sinner, you. It's a done deal. You are good. God is good. You are good. Goodness is your nature. right? So Yeshua as a symbol or blueprint, or we could say coming to the revelation of pure consciousness, or the light of consciousness, or the Christ consciousness, is a symbol for this revelation and of claiming our identity in God, our oneness with God, our oneness with the one self, the one being, the one heart, right? And the languaging is a dance, and we uniquely each resonate with certain languaging that will bring us alive. And so I always like to invite, don't be put off by the languaging. You're fully equipped as an intelligence to be a translator of the way the language comes, but also to receive what is being shared as a transmission that you can recognize on a deeper level than language. And now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the only time to actually shift our relationship with languaging as being something that can divide. And in a way, that's really pertinent around languaging that gets used in different traditions and lineages and ways of sharing within the realms of, let's say, spirituality, and using what seem like differences, what seem like different trajectories, tributaries, pathways, and realizing that we have the capacity to distill everything through our nervous system, through the revelation of consciousness and the technology of the light that illuminates. We have the capacity to distill so that whatever brings us alive as language, tradition, practice, teachings, that we don't divide through that, but we distill the essence so that we join regardless of the unique languaging, the unique traditions and lineages, practices, and spiritual paths that we have journeyed upon. Because now is the time, now is the time for a revelation that is beyond any division. Now is the time for living reality. Because now is the time to come together in the one heart, the one essence, the one truth that is at the heart of all traditions. The wisdom, the mystical revelation that is at the heart is what we are being invited to recognize and to be a living frequency emanation of, so that we recognize that, in a way, part of our human lived experience is to come together and bridge the seeming divides, because those seeming divides are at the root of all conflict, right? They're at the root of the appearance of conflict and war and power imbalance and disharmony, right? So now is the time, my friends, right? My dear beloved companions, now is the time for this revelation to be taken to a depth of eternal grace and knowing, where we distill through our own consciousness this revelation of heart beyond all division and limitation. And we meet in the one heart that is undivided and pure. And so we can be a living field of revelation and frequency transmission, of light embodied, that can truly be the change for humanity, for the whole. Because in this flow that we're speaking of, the flow of surrender, the flow of pure devotion, the flow of wholeness being carried as we enter together. We're entering into a frequency of living reality that is a shift in perspective and a refinement of our nervous systems and consciousness to have the capacity to know ourselves more deeply at the essence level than we have ever had the capacity to know ourselves before. So now is the time to come together and celebrate love, like what the truth of what love is. And we could say the truth of what God and glory is in all its names and forms. But the revelation is that all names are my name, and yet I remain nameless. The I am presence, the true I remains nameless, and yet all names are my name, right? Just to take a deep breath and let the exhalation be a relaxation deeper into yourself, deeper into the knowing of your precious, beautiful, wholesome heart that knows the truth of who you are. And whether we speak of the glory by any name that resonates for us, we join where all names, all devotion is a devotion to love itself, to perfect spotless love, to the glory, the divine light, and a saying yes to a transmission field as a lived experience of being that can upgrade and refine our consciousness to bring online the capacities that we know are possible. It's happening now. Of course it is, because the time is now. The time is now for revelation. The time is now for realization. The time is now for recognition. The time is now for celebration. The time is now to come together in the one heart of love, to let the truth be known in the heart. And we're reminded here of the silence, the stillness of the field of presence. And as we drop into the silent field of presence, we recognize the unchanging, unmoving, undisturbable truth of our essence nature, where we are one, that this silent presence is the presence of God and glory. And to know this truth, that we rest here in surrender, in devotion that is pure, and we just allow the flow of grace to bring the revelation into our own hearts. We invite God and glory to reveal the true identity in our own hearts. And we realize that the lived experience is this incredible, potent possibility for illuminating, receiving, and transmuting through total inclusivity, which is the technology of love, to bring everything home through our pure devotion and pure surrender, and holding this knowing of the presence, being the light that can illuminate. We have this natural power in our essence nature to be the seer and illuminator of everything that feels to be discordant in the life, to bring all of the seeming disparate parts of ourself home to the one heart, to the one resonant frequency of deep, whole remembrance. And the remembrance isn't a mental memory, it's a resonant frequency of the pure knowing that has always known itself. And it's like a coming back, a coming home to a familiar, resonant frequency of, this is who I have always been. This goodness is the true nature of this heart, right? That goodness is the truth of who you are. It is the truth of all beings, of all hearts. And as we recognize this frequency of goodness, this is the frequency of the goodness of God, which is, it's akin to sipping upon the bliss nectar of revelation. Because however revelation comes in our field and in our heart, it's the bliss, the light, the illumined knowing that brings a nectarine elixir, let's say, the soma, that as we sip upon the nectarine bliss of our revelation, it's this bliss light that transmutes and shifts the perspective and rejuvenates the systems and refines the consciousness and the nervous system and our capacity multidimensionally to really start to feel the fullness of the divine being that we are in our human expression. That in a way, our human expression is intended to be an expression of the divine, that we are made in the likeness of God. And as we recognize the goodness, we have this capacity to bring forward the transmission, emanation, through the unquestionable knowing of the heart, a frequency to the surface of life that's shared as a reverberant field of what the heart knows to be true, to be a human that is fully engaged in the dance and the glory of life and the lived experience, and is constantly integrating through the lived experience. And a part of that integrated lived experience is being the purest, most beautiful natural expression of the divine. And guess how? Guess how? This is the incredible part. By being yourself. Wow, right? Being the divine expression isn't about taking on holy airs and graces and making new identities. It's about actually being yourself. Being the blossoming flower in God's garden is to be yourself so fully, so true, so real, so honest, so open, so loving, so beautiful in the truth of who you are, in all of the subtle, nuanced ways that a human is. To be yourself, to be a raw divine human, right? That's the invitation. We're not being invited to be a conceptual idea of a perfected human that is in a spiritual identity and is trying to embody a holy that isn't a full expression of a human that is embodying the light, the love, and the, let's say, the full sensuality of a lived experience of being an embodied human, right? Embodying the light. Because there's a realness, a rawness, and a curious ordinariness to it, right? And we know that from the moments of revelation, of just really feeling that depth of relaxation, that this is what this life is all about. And the time is now, right now, right now. This moment is the moment to be yourself, to be yourself. Mm. Mm. Just resting here, a resting and a deep, nourishing relaxation to just be as you are, to be so present with yourself just as you are, not trying to create any kind of atmosphere or environment or persona, to just let go into the presence field, to let go into God and glory and be taken by the divine taxi all the way home to your very own heart. Docked in the heart of God, home in the heart of God, in the heart of light. That your heart is a heart of light. Let it shine, let it shine its radiant, brilliant wholeness. And as it shines, let that shining light illuminate anything and everything that is yet to know itself as love. And the whole adventure is a wholesome one. Just to be real. Just to be your real, whole self. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Mm. We long for such a relaxation of our protections. We long to just be fully revealed. The beauty is that fully revealed we reveal the love that we are. It is our mind that has these ideas that if we were to reveal ourselves, we would be revealing some kind of lack or sense of that there's something about me that I can't reveal because there's something wrong with me. But that is all learned protection and misunderstanding. When we actually reveal ourselves, what is revealed is the love that we are. So just resting here in the revelation of the heart, just being yourself, the fullness of yourself. Everything is welcome. All of you is welcome, just as you are. Love sees only love, and love loves you. The embrace of love is so all-encompassing. To be seen in the light of a pure and spotless love. Where your story of division, limitation, lack, the brilliance of the light illuminates the absolute impossibility for you to be anything other than a child of God made in the image of. Just to receive the grace and glory of love's truth in the heart. In your way, your unique way, to connect to Source and allow the wellspring to bubble up as revelation in the heart. And allow too the light to illuminate things that are possibly in the field that could be stirred out of the unconscious to come forward into the light, just to allow the fullness of your experience in this moment to know that it's so fully welcomed here. So just resting here. Being carried, being held, being truly seen in the wholeness and fullness of who you are.